Hi, for those who don't know me, I'm Nina, and I want to talk to you about Bali today because I keep seeing people arriving here, and within a week or two they're going crazy and they don't understand what's happening to them right now. I get it because I was that person, and I landed here thinking knew what I was getting into, and within days I felt like, I don't know, like everything I thought was just started shifting. So I want to share what's actually going on here, and not in a scary way, but just so you understand why the island has this effect on people. Because once you get it, the whole experience will change. The first thing, Bali is volcanic land. Like the whole island is born from fire, and I know that sounds traumatic, but your body really responds to that. There is constant aliveness in the ground. Everything there is about transformation. Things growing fast, things are changing a lot. Nothing is staying the same for long, and your nervous system picks up on that, whether you are aware of it or not. And I remember my first month here, I just felt restless all the time, not in a bad way, just like I couldn't settle into my old patterns anymore. And that's that volcanic energy. It doesn't let you stay stuck. Then there's this magnetic thing, being that close to the equator, the heat, the humidity, your nervous system is just more online. Like in colder places, you kind of zone out, stay in your head, keep things controlled. But here, everything is touching you. The sounds, the smells, the heat on your skin. You can really check out, not like the same way you do before. And for some people, this feels amazing. For others, it feels completely overwhelming. But your system is just waking up parts that maybe have been, quiet for a while. And I noticed I started feeling things more intensely here, but not just the hard stuff, but also joy, connection, creativity. It's like the volume turns up on everything. The other thing about Bali is life and death are just a part of everyday life here. You see offerings on the streets, ceremonies, the whole community coming together. I've seen people burning with the burners. Nothing is hidden. And when you're in that environment, your own walls start to come down, not because you're forcing, but because that's what's happening when you're around that much openness. And I had this moment where I was watching a ceremony. I just started crying, like not sad, just that release, because I realized how much energy I've been using to keep everything contained back home. And suddenly in Bali there was this permission to just let things move through me. And here's the thing that surprised me the most, is really in Bali you can't really hide behind being busy. Like you might try at first, booking sessions, workshops, ceremonies back to back, but the island has a way of slowing you down, whether you want it or not. And then you're just sitting with yourself. And for a lot of us, that's when we realize how much of our identity was built on doing things, achieving, being productive. And I remember when I had my first mini crisis where it's like, who am I when I'm not working? And if I'm not fixing and I'm just here? And that question felt uncomfortable, but also kind of exciting, because I got to start discovering parts of myself that had nothing to do with my productivity or my usefulness. The other thing is everything in Bali is temporary. People come and go, communities shift, projects start and end, and this goes quick. Even the weather changes fast. Like 1 minute it's sunny and next minute you have the biggest rainstorm. And if you're someone who likes stability and knowing what comes next, this can feel uncomfortable, but there's also something freeing about it, Like you can't hold onto the things so tight. You have to learn to enjoy what's right there without trying to make things permanent. And I had these incredible connections that lasted 2 weeks, and then the person left, and instead of being devastated, I just felt grateful. Like, what was it supposed to be for me? How do you actually work with Bali instead of fighting it? Because I definitely tried fighting at first, and just made it all harder. The island didn't respond to force, but it responds really well when you start moving with the rhythm of Bali. So the biggest thing I learned, you have to slow down first, like before you do anything else. Most people arrive and they want to do everything, every ceremony, every workshop, every healer, every beach, every temple, and your system just can't integrate that much at once. I had to start saying no to things that sounded amazing, so just you could have the space actually to feel what was happening inside of me, and that's when my things shifted. Like fewer activities, more just sitting in nature, walking, just being. And that's where the transformation for me really started to happen. The other thing you need on daily basics are even more than you think. I'm talking about really simple stuff, getting sunlight in the morning so your body knows what time it is, eating food that feels nourishing, not just what looks good on Instagram, drinking so much water because the heat can be depleting, and touching the earth, literally bare feet on the ground, swimming in the ocean, sitting in the rice fields. Not as spiritual, just as a way to remind your body it's safe. And when I started doing that every day, Bali went from feeling overwhelming to feeling like it was holding me. Whenever I feel too activated in my head, too overwhelmed, I just go to nature. I cannot be in those busy parts with all the scooters and tourists. The quiet parts like the jungle, the ocean and the rice fields are my friends. And I wouldn't do anything there. I just sit, breathe, let my system remember it's part of something bigger, and that really became my reset button. You also need boundaries here, even though everything feels just so open and everyone is so friendly. I had to learn to say no without feeling guilty, to leave gatherings when my body said it's enough, to not take on everyone else's emotions just because I could feel them. Bali will train you if you don't protect your energy, not because it's bad, just because there's so much stimulation. And learning to put myself first there actually really helped me to connect more deeply with myself. And you have to practice letting things come and go without holding on tightly. A beautiful conversation ends, let it end. A relationship shifts, let it shift. A project doesn't work out, let it go. The more I tried to control things here, the harder it got. But when I started trusting that things have their own timing, everything got so much easier. Like what's meant for you won't pass by, and what's not meant for you will leave, and that is okay too. The biggest shift for me was realizing my worth isn't about what I do. Bali stripped away all my usual ways of feeling valuable, my work, my achievements, my productivity. And at first that felt super terrifying, but then I started to realize I'm valuable just because I exist, just because I'm here, breathing, being part of life. And that sounds super simple, but it changed everything for me. What I love is that the Balinese do those daily rituals, offerings in the morning, prayers, little moments of gratitude. And I started doing my own version of that. I was not copying their religion, just creating my own simple rhythms, starting my day with intention instead of being on the phone, ending my day with my kids, some kind of release, like also journaling or just being in quiet and music. Small rituals that hold my nervous system. You're safe and life has a rhythm. You don't need to control everything. If you're here to do deeper work, choose your practitioners carefully. There are incredible healers here in Bali. There are also people who are in over their heads or leading from the ego, and you have to trust your body about what feels right. Sometimes the most healing thing is not another ceremony. It's just maybe sitting with somebody while you drink a tea, and that's it. Here's something wild. Bali will show you what actually needs to heal, not what you think needs to heal. I went here thinking I was working on one thing, and the island was like, actually, let's look at the other thing that you've been avoiding. And I'm here for 7 years, and it keeps going. And if you fight that, it gets harder. But if you just listen and trust what's coming up, even when it's not what you expect, that's when the real magic happens. People talk about Bali being like a birth canal, and I actually think it's accurate. It's warm, intense, humid, loud. You're surrounded and there's no turning back once you're in it. Something new is trying to emerge through you. For me, I went through phases here. First, everything felt super unreal and overwhelming, and the old patterns started showing up really loud. Then I went through grief phases where I was mourning versions of myself that couldn't come forward anymore. And yeah, then things started settling, not in a boring way, in a real way. Like I could finally breathe better, sleep better, feel more choice in how I respond to things in life. And that's settling in, that's where the rewiring happening, you know. There's a difference between healthy transformation and just burning out with spiritual language on top. So healthy transformation has waves, intensity and rest, activation and then integration. So you might feel a lot, but you're also sleeping better over time, functioning better, feeling more grounded, even in all of your tender moments. But if you're just constantly intense, jumping from session to session with no real settling, always in crisis, that is not transformation, that's just overwhelm. And the way to check is simple. Is my daily life getting more functional or more chaotic? Am I able to regulate myself between sessions or only during them? If your life is getting clearer, more embodied, even while it's tender, you are on track. So most of the people go through those stages in Bali, not perfectly linear, but the pattern is here. So the first is the shock stage. Everything feels surreal, beautiful, confusing, your senses are overloaded and your system is just trying to figure out if this is safe. Then the activation stage. Old patterns show up loud, relationships trigger you, money stuff come up, control issues come to the surface. You think something is wrong, but actually your system is finally safe enough to show you what was frozen. And then the morning, you grieve who you were, who can't come forward, old dreams that won't happen the way you thought. It's like feeling like a depression, but it's actually a deep release. And then you have the integration, things to settle in your body, reactions soften, you recover faster from triggers, you start craving simplicity over intensity. And then finally, embodiment, Bali becomes your environment, not your healer. You're living, you're not constantly just processing. So if you're in Bali right now, feeling like everything is shifting, you're not doing anything wrong. You are in a process that has its own timing. Treat yourself gently, slow down more than you think you need. Choose nature over noise, protect your energy, let things move through without holding on tight. And trust that if you move with the island instead of fighting it, you come out different, more real, more grounded in who you actually are under all the doing and providing. And that's the whole gift of Bali.